What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
That's always the question. What do you think? What do I think? I think it's another day in the neighborhood. It's already day 10 of June. Can you believe it? It's true. So we've got a lot to talk about here this morning. I think we should jump right in. That's right. We should jump right in and just start checking out what's happening. Number one, went to the school board meeting last night, and they, as I kind of thought they might have been going to do, since it was a special called meeting, that they might be introducing the new superintendent of District 50, and I was correct. They were introducing the new superintendent of District 50. His name is Shane Goodwin. And of course, this took several months to find the person that they believe, the school board believes. And, you know, I got to give them kudos. There was a lot of pressure. You could tell a big relief was on everybody's mind last night as they introduced him. It was at the end of the meeting after having a discussion about the budget. But first, let's talk a little bit about Shane Goodwin and his wife, Christy, are making the move from Virginia here to Greenwood, South Carolina. I did have a few minutes to talk to him. I asked him if he'd found where they were going to be living. He looked at me. Do you have any suggestions? I said, no, not really. But there are, of course, a lot of lovely places here. He said that he would be coming, I guess, almost immediately. His contract is not start until July 1st, but he said that they will that they'll probably, and I mean, this was just get an apartment, and then his wife will be here in about a month, and then, of course, his wife will start the job, probably doing a major part of the lift and finding where she would like to live, what she would like to have. So his wife's name is Christy Goodwin. So Christy and Shane Goodwin, and he is just thrilled to be the new superintendent of District 50. Where did he come from? He recently served as Assistant Superintendent for Administration in Frederick County Public Schools in Winchester, Virginia, where he oversaw a broad range of departments. And as I said, he was the Assistant Superintendent, so he was over human resources, facilities, technology, school safety, transport, nutrition services, and planning and construction. So he checks off a lot of the boxes that the school board, because of the issues and things facing our school district, as far as that goes. So the board, as Danielle Fields said, that let's see, she said, is a leader who welcomes transparency, embraces accountability, and is ready for the challenges ahead. Well, that sounds like something like what we need right here in Greenwood. Clay Sprouse, board chair, thanked the community for their input throughout the process and expressed appreciation to fellow board members for their efforts in selecting a new superintendent. I will say that he was talking about all the extra hours that the board has put in trying to make this decision and making this decision, and made note that while this isn't a paid position, that they certainly stepped up and did what was necessary. And actually, the school board has been hit with quite a few issues, particularly when we consider the budget issue that was totally floored them at the time. The first part of the meeting, they were discussing the budget with Rodney Smith. I tell you what, Rodney is a quality man, and he is that you can tell that this has been most stressful as they've tried to work their way through the budget and find cuts. And they've done like, I don't know how many little cuts they've done, but they've done all kinds of little cuts, whether it's and when you look at the budget, of course, the budget is huge. I don't remember what the figure is for the budget, but they've done all these little cuts, whether it's 5,000, 10,000. I mean, can you imagine just doing your own budget and then all of a sudden your some of your major money coming in isn't coming in, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" So they have spent a lot of time trying to cut the budget. Right now, and I'm taking this from my notes from last night, being at the meeting, I believe they would have a $2.5 million shortfall, and if they make some other adjustments, they're looking at, I think it's $2.3 million. And so they were talking about all the different ways to handle this. Now, there is some belief that the state is going to come through. In fact, I believe Rodney said that he is part of a committee, a statewide committee of a group of people that do budget work for the different school districts to try and present this to the state to see what relief that they can get. You may remember all the discussions we had when this first came out. For example, Greenville County was 12 million short. Greenwood was $4 million short. It was $1 million per quarter, so $4 million short. And right now they've got it down to, if they make these new cuts that they're looking at, I believe it's $2.3 million. So they have cut, and the big thing that they want everybody to know is that they're not touching anything with the classroom, anything with the teachers. In fact, a major part of the discussion, well, it's a couple of things. Clay Sprouse was very concerned because there's talk of charging to go to games between the middle school, the high school. I'm not really familiar with what charges or not charges, but Clay Sprouse does not want students to have to pay, and he said that he wanted this very much watched by the principals, assistant principals, the coaches for the different schools and everything, to make sure that they're not seeing an erosion or students not coming to the games, because he considers it part of the culture and an important part. And it is an important part. We all know that performing for your peers, to having that knowing that your school is behind you is so important. So the bottom line is that was one issue that they are looking about instigating some costs. And as it's all at this point not been finalized, so I don't want anybody to walk away saying, oh my God, they're doing this. No, they are trying to put this together. They will present the final budget on the 23rd of June. But that was one place that they were talking about. They were talking about businesses, different industries in our area stepping up and bringing more help into different areas of school life. Instead of, I think it was Miss Dominic suggested that instead of, while they do have help that they get from the community, from industries, maybe having some deeper dives and more of a relationship with the school versus the industry. That's actually a very smart idea, but that does take a lot of work to get with these industries and see where they would like to and if they can. And of course, all of this is happening right now when people don't know what the economy is going to do. So that was another part that they talked about, is getting businesses involved. Now, I am not familiar with this, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Impact fees per house. That is something evidently that other areas are doing as they build new houses. They add impact fees, and I don't know if that is money that is directed to go to the school district. I don't know, but that was something that was talked about. So one of the things though that I think that they were very, very strong on, they do not want to affect classrooms or students and teachers, and of course anything to do with the classroom. They want to make sure, in fact there was a lot of discussion about giving raises. Ken Cobb says we need to give all in the minimum 2%. Of course, that's a big budget item. And Rodney said, well, you could do that. And then he started to explain where that would take things. Right now, they only are doing, I believe, teachers and bus drivers. I think I'm right about that. If somebody wants to jump in, 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. Don't hesitate to correct me if I'm wrong or to add some additional information. But Ken Cobb said he wants to see all given a minimum 2%. They talked about stipends. They talked about all these different things. See, principals, assistant principals, admin people, where do you draw the line on this? So that is something that they are going to hash out over the next 2 weeks. So the other thing that they have said is that they may use their fund balance to, what shall we say, float between where they're at right now, well, at the end of June, and where they're going to see what the state and where other funding, because they're not sure that they can get everything done. So they may be using some of their fund balance, which I really think is a pretty healthy fund balance. I mean, I'd be doing real good if I had that fund balance, but I don't have all the payroll and all the issues that they have. They also have to keep X amount of dollars. I think it's something like 2 months, 2.5 months, 2 months. But what would the fund balance be after if they use some of the money from the fund balance? I think it would be $20 million. According to state law, they have to have 2 months of monies on hand. I believe that is correct. But the bottom line is they may use some of their fund balance to try and solve this problem. And if they see that things are not going to work out with the state or from other funding aspects, then they'll have to make other cuts. But that's kind of what I think that's really the way they are leaning. I think everybody should know that the school board definitely wants to give the 2% step increase, and that's something they're going to be talking about. Okay, so that is about the budget. As I said, there is a new superintendent, Shane Goodwin. He will be here as of July 1st, but I know he'll be here. We already talked to him about having him on for an interview. I think I'll give him a little time to get started. I mean, just for the record. All right, anyways, but this is a very tough issue for the school board. All right, what else is going on in the world today? Well, let's check out from some of our news sources, and then I do want to talk about, my favorite topic. Oh, Lord, Ann. This afternoon, I do want to remind you, Alan Wilson, State's Attorney Alan Wilson will be here on the line, on the phone, for an interview with me right here on WCRS. He's got some topics he wants to talk about. I've got some topics I want to talk about. It's going to be a fast-paced half-hour interview, so you need to be tuned in at 5 if you'd like to hear it live. And of course, if you've got a question, I would love to hear from you as we as we do this. In fact, if you'd send me your questions before 864-229-7984, that would mean I would be ready to ask that question. Of course, you can comment during the show, and I try to read and try to get as many as those comments out here as I can. So that's a little bit about that this afternoon. That's from 5 to 5:30. At 5:30, local solicitor David Stumbo will be joining us for a half hour and kind of related to what is going on in the state, probably following up on some about what Alan talks about and how it relates to our community. So should be a fascinating interview. Alan Wilson, state's attorney, up at 5, and maybe he'll go ahead and announce right here on WCRS that he's running for the governor. I don't know. The field is getting pretty busy. Did happen to see where Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett is making some moves out there, doing some town halls down there on the coast. I'm sure she's trying to gauge what she should be doing. She, of course, is one of the contenders, as is Alan Wilson, as is, Nancy Mace. All right. Anyways, and I think there's probably a couple more, but those are the 3 that are the top of the list. But that is a little bit on that. I hope you will tune in this afternoon. I hope you have some time to listen. So let's talk about this other thing that I find totally fascinating. No, I'm not talking about the bobbleheads, but I will say the bobbleheads got a lot of conversation and a lot of comments yesterday. So people like the idea of, instead of the yes bobblehead up and down, we need a bobblehead that goes no, no, no. There you go. Because we got too many yes people. Yes, yes, yes. Well, this is an article that I am just thrilled to see. And I think I saw a post where John McCravey is also on board with this. And there were 25 in the House that voted against the budget because of this issue. Senator sues over his own raise, and this is from the Senate, arguing it violates the South Carolina Constitution. You know, there's nothing like being able to fall back on the Constitution when you need one, right? GOP senator and former Democratic senator want the South Carolina Supreme Court to rule before July payments are deposited. So far, 37 legislators have refused their pay. So that's 37. Unfortunately, there's not a list out there, at least unless there's in this article, and I didn't see anything, but 37 legislators. The only way we can know about this is if we go to their ethics page after the raise is given and check and see what they're saying about the amount of money that they have coming in as a state legislator. All right. Here you go. A state senator is asking the state's highest court to halt it says $2,500 monthly raise, but it's actually a $1,500 a month raise because they already get $1,000 for in-district expense. So this is actually $1,500 additional a month. Senator Wes Clymer, a Rock Hill Republican, filed the request Monday. He and his attorney, former Senator Dick Harpootlian, a Columbia Democrat, contend the $18,000 a year annual raise approved as part of the state budget violates the state constitution. Clymer and fellow plaintiff Carol Herring, a Rock Hill resident and friend of Clymer's, are asking the state's highest court to throw out the raises before they take effect with the July 1st start of the fiscal year. They don't have a lot of time on this. The state Supreme Court agreed Monday with the request to take the case directly, allowing a quick resolution. For a General Assembly to vote to give its own members public money is akin to a judge presiding over his own trial or a police officer investigating his own alleged conduct, the legal filing reads. The central question could become whether the state constitution's ban on legislatures increasing their own per diems actually applies to the raises. Generally, a per diem is considered a daily allowance. So let's go through that. The central question could become whether the state constitution ban on legislatures increasing their own per diems actually applies to the raises. Generally, a per diem is considered a daily allowance. Legislators do receive subsistence for each day they're in session. Currently, we can't keep up. Where do these increases happen? The last thing I knew, it was $202. Now they're saying currently $240 a day. The payment is meant to cover the cost of food and lodging while they're in Colombia. You are listening to WCRS, and it is 10 o'clock in the city. Currently, $240 a day. The payment is meant to cover the cost of food and lodging while they're in Colombia, though they don't have to spend it on that. You know what they need? Here's what they need. This would solve a lot of this problem. We need just a big dorm down there in Colombia where they actually go. In fact, maybe USC has an old dorm that they could let them use. I mean, it might not be the Ritz-Carlton, but hey, it could be pretty much utilitarian. Or maybe they need a pop-up. You know, we do this stuff. The federal government does it for disaster. Why give them $240? Why don't we just have some little place where they could go? Now, I'm being facetious. Okay, currently they get $240 for the payment is meant to cover the cost of food and lodging while they're in Colombia, and then they also get a mileage fee. Of course, it says they don't have to spend it on that. They don't have to prove that they spent it on that. Each legislature gets the same amount no matter how far they live from the state house, whether they get a hotel room or not. The daily amount can change yearly. It's based on the prior year's average daily rate for hotels in downtown Columbia. Yeah, see, I think we just need a big dorm. What do you think? I mean, do they have any property down there that they're not using? Why don't we just convert it to a big dorm? And if you need it, or like a hostel, you know, they need it, they can stay. If they don't, it's okay. That's in addition to the legislator's annual salary of $10,400, which hasn't changed since 1990. In this article, they actually don't talk about the mileage charge, but that's, 67 cents, I think. The state's chief accountant says the in-district compensation, which is set to increase from $1,000 to $2,500 per month, is not a per diem. Rather, it's considered personal income and taxed accordingly, unlike the designated per diem, said Kim McLeod, spokeswoman for the Comptroller General's office. In their lawsuit, Clymer and Harpootlian argue the combined $22,400 legislatures receive currently for their annual salary and in-district compensation counts as per diem. The money pays legislatures for their services on a daily basis while in session, making it a daily funding allotment, the lawsuit argues. Well, they may be going down the wrong path there. I'm not sure about that. Then it says the 1868 version of the state constitution was the first to use the term per diem in referencing legislators' pay. According to the lawsuit, the term was meant to differentiate between a legislator's salary, that was $6 a day back in the day, and mileage reimbursements. Similar language carried over to the 1890 Constitution that still governs the state. In 1800s, there was no salary. There was no in-district expense. It was all per diem, Harpootlian told reporters. anyways, this article goes on. Columbia attorney and government transparency advocate John Krangle had initially offered to join the lawsuit, but changed his mind after learning the Comptroller General didn't consider the money to be a per diem, he said. Krangle still disagrees with the hike conceptually. Last month, he wrote a letter to Governor Henry McMaster asking him to veto the pay raises, while the Republican governor did not do so. Krangle said his understanding is that if the raise is personal income, it is not covered by the state constitution, he told the SC Daily Gazette. I don't think you can use that as a basis, he said, of the argument that the money counts as per diem. The in-district compensation is meant to pay for legislators' expenses outside the State House, though they can spend it on whatever they want. This is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult, particularly because they've chosen that way to go after this. I don't know. This in-district expense, it's kind of a gray area. I think that would be the best way. It's kind of like gray water. So that is something that they are looking. So the increase was meant to offset inflation since 1995. You know, why? Why would they? Why would they? Why would they have waited since 1995 to now do this and go for this whopping big increase? Anyways, this is something it is going to be hard for, I think it's going to be hard for them to do this. Senators don't have a deadline to turn down their raise. So far, 3 of the state's 46 senators said they wouldn't take the money, according to the Senate Clerk's office. That means 37 of 170 legislators, or about 22%, are declining. All are Republicans. Other legislators have publicly said they plan to donate the money to charity. And while I think that is admirable, that doesn't solve the problem of what has happened here. It's, that's still taking the money from the taxpayers, and then they are making the decision as to which charity they feel should get it. Do you think that is right? 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. I don't think it's right. I think that that's admirable. Let's see. GOP reps Brandon Guffey of Rock Hill and James Teeple of Johns Island, who talked about those plans during the debate, asking the state Supreme Court to let the lawsuit skip the lower courts. Clymer and Harpootlian noted the normal appeals process could take years, longer than the budget is in effect. So technically it says the raise is only for the 25 to 26 budget, which is a one-year law, but it would stay in effect indefinitely. That's because spending directives in the budget, called provisos, generally roll over from one budget to the next, unless legislators take action. So it's going to be very interesting to see who is not going to take it. Now, I do have the list of all 37 legislators who have turned down the raise are Republicans. Let's see. I'm not going to read this whole list, but John McCravey of Greenwood, Weston Newton of Bluffton, Jordan Pace of Goose Creek, Merle Smith of Sumter. Some of these are the bigwigs in the group. Mark Smith of Daniel Island. Who else? These are representatives. Doug Gilliam of Buffalo has turned it down. I'm just trying to find some that are. Nathan Ballantyne of Chapin. So that's one group. Senators who have turned it down. Here you go. We got 3 senators. Wes Clymer of Rock Hill, Michael Johnson of Fort Mill, and Mike Rettenbach of Florence. So it is interesting to note. I do find this interesting. So as far as the senators, it sounds like Billy Garrett is definitely taking the money, according to what I'm seeing right here. Not that he couldn't make that decision to change before July 1st, but at this moment, he has not turned it down. Neither has Daniel Gibson. Daniel Gibson, of course, is one of our representatives, even though John McCravey has turned it down. So as far as our local representatives, that's where we are. What do you think? That's what I want to know. What do you think?
Keep on sharing.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
And that's why I talk about this, because it's important for us to talk about. I find it interesting. I am going to be following this. We'll see we'll see how this comes out, but I don't believe they have a date. But the most important thing is the South Carolina Supreme Court has decided to take this up. So from that standpoint, that is pretty darn cool. All right. Okay, well, I am sorry, but I am not available right now, so we cannot do anything about that. We will now just play something real quick so I can answer that, and I will be right back. Don't you go away.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
Well, this is pretty... Oops, this is pretty cool. This was a lady dropping off some peanut butter, so she wanted to know how to do it, and so she had her card filled out, and we'll be mailing her a free Frank's car wash. It was her first time donating, and she said, thanks so much for doing that, and thank her for doing that for our community, for the Salvation Army. All right, what else do we have to talk about here? We need to follow this one and see what else is going on. I had some other things to talk about. Let's just look at this. Yes, okay. There are many things we could talk about this morning. Those are some of my favorites right here. Let's see if I've got anything else I really want to hit on. The riots out there in Los Angeles, I'm just going to say, this is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. We want to have a situation like we had in 2020 or the Rodney King riots and this type of thing out there in LA. I think the biggest thing that I am hearing is that a lot of these agitators are paid agitators coming in. They come in groups of 30 or 40, and then all of a sudden they've got multiples. Where it's going, do you think that President Trump should have gotten involved in it? I say, hell yes. We don't need a situation where businesses and people have to fear for their lives. This idea, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that peaceful protest does not mean throwing rocks and cinder blocks at cops. That is not peaceful protest. Peaceful protest is standing on the side in front of a building with a sign, maybe singing some kumbaya song, something along that line. That's peaceful protest. What we have out there now is not. Last night, night. They had fire bangers and whatever they're called, and firecrackers, and people were looking to get arrested. But here's the thing about it, and this is what's bad about this. They don't, since it's a sanctuary city, they take them down to the jail to book them, and 30 minutes later they're right back out. So where will this end? That is a question. This thing where Trump has said that, Tom Homan ought to arrest him. We'll see where that arrest Newsom. We'll see where that goes. Newsom taunting Holman. Come ahead. Don't threaten me. Come ahead and arrest me. It's all a show. It's not reality. And, if a reality show would probably be more real than what this is. And on top of that, add the media coverage to it. And don't you sometimes wonder that if the media wasn't covering this, would it stop? Would we even know about it? I mean, would it even continue? Or would it continue to the point where someone, gets killed and then it would have to be covered? I don't know. But I know it is a big waste of time and resources, and it needs to stop. Now, what's it going to take to get it stopped? I don't know. It's been going on for 4 days. I guess this would be the 5th day if they continue with it. I haven't really seen that much about it this morning. It's designed to keep things status quo. It is in my opinion, it is the Democrats trying to get a toehold on our country. And I think, unfortunately, it is backfiring for them because people are tired of this type of thing that we have going on. So, from that standpoint, I don't know if they're really doing themselves any favors. What is your opinion? Do you think they're doing themselves any favors? 864-229-7984. You can call or text. I want to make sure that everybody knows you can call and leave a message, or you can text. So that's what I would like for you to do as far as weighing in on this or any of the topics that we've had. What do you feel about the House and the Senate giving themselves a $1,500 a month? $1,500 a month, equal to $18,000 a year raise that is not covered under anything except it counts as income. They're calling it in-district expense, but it counts as income. They can spend it on whatever they want. Nobody is denying the fact that there are expenses in being in the House and the Senate. But should it have been done this way? Should it have been something that was not put hastily in the budget for July 1st? Should it have waited till the next term that is coming up before it becomes active? Should the voters have had any say in what is happening with our money? I know that our legislators work hard, but then again, they signed up for this. They signed up for this job. Should they have just have done this because they found $1 billion extra dollars in the budget? So yeah, let's just go ahead and do this. Should 6 people who were on that committee to finalize the budget have been able to do that? I actually think in reading this lawsuit that they might have been better to have taken some other points. If they want to give me a call, 864-229-7984. I'm just saying, you know me, I'm always saying something. So we've got people watching on Facebook Live this morning. It's really great. People seem to like the fact when we do Facebook Live, and I do a lot of them. In fact, I looked at the figures last night. In the last 28 days, I just want you to know this, in the last 28 days, we have had what? over 18,000 views of our Facebook Lives. So that is pretty darn cool. And because of that, I have just moved up the ladder, and I don't know how this works. I've got to figure this out. But just to change topic here, we're not going to solve the state government, the lawsuit there. We're not going to solve the thing in Los Angeles, but it's interesting to have a little perspective. And we're not going to solve how the budget is going to come together, although I will say this, the school board and Rodney Smith and crew, his team, have been working very hard to try to make this work. And I certainly hope they get a little bit of help from the state to be able to make things more better. All right. So we're not going to solve those things, but they are interesting topics to talk about. However, this thing with the stars, I don't know how the stars work, but I can actually start making money off my videos here, a penny at a time. So when I say a penny for your thoughts, send me a star. I got to figure this out. I have no idea. Also, we have set up something new here on the radio. I haven't loaded any pictures in, but we are actually going to start showing some pictures of Princess Penny. She said she thinks that she needs a lead in to when she actually comes live on with her own penny cam. So I'm going to start putting some pictures up, and you'll be able to go to Facebook Live and see the pictures of Princess Penny, as cute and adorable as she is. So that's a little bit about what's happening as far as what I'm doing. What else do we have here this morning? Had a couple of things I think I wanted to tell you about. So let's see what else I've got, and then we're going to finish up here today. Don't forget there is a ball game tonight over there at the American Legion Field, right there at the Old Civic Center, a.k.a. the Greenwood County Recreational Center. Therefore, I got it right. Also, I was sad to see, although we haven't heard much from him in a long time, Sly Stone, who managed to get the pre-dawn audience on their feet and for an impassioned call and response higher during the song, I Want to Take You Higher. I got to tell you my story, and I guess I will close out with this today. The very first concert I ever went to was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And it was with Sly and the Family Stone. Now here I am, this young, impressionable girl who had come from a private prep school in Massachusetts and was going to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and had to learn to get away from people who would say this. I don't know. I haven't told this story in a long time. All right. When I first got there, people would say, "Oh, you're from Maine." Yep, from Maine. And I had this one friend. God, what have I got there? One friend who would introduce me as, "This is my friend Ann. She's from Maine. Say something, Ann." And, they'd want me to speak, and I sounded a little like an outsider in North Carolina back a long time ago. And they said, so I learned to get away from her, and I learned to be able to throw in a few y'alls, and I was doing okay. But anyways, my roommate was from Southern Pines, that area, and so Sly and the Family Stone was playing at this, I think it was an armory, but I don't really remember. But anyways, they were playing there, and we were like, "Oh, we gotta go! This is so cool." So we go to this armory, and we're there packed in like sardines on the floor there, and we're waiting for Sly and the Family Stone to come out. And I'm going to tell you what, I bet we waited an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It was inordinate. Sly was late. Sly was messed up. It is so true. So people were getting a little rowdy. So finally, literally, they bring Sly out with two people with their arms under each side, hauling him out to the stage. He sang Take You Higher, that song right there. And I think they sang I think they sang maybe two songs and that song, and they were out of there. And that was the end of the show. And it was so demoralizing. We had stood there for 2 hours waiting for this man to come out on the stage. This was the experience of a lifetime, and this is what happened. It's true. So, as we look at this, he was named Sylvester Stewart was his real name. He was born March 15th, 1943. He died yesterday. Better known by his stage name, Sly Stone, was an American musician, a songwriter, and record producer who was most famous for his role as a frontman for Sly and the Family Stone, playing a critical role in the development of funk with his pioneering fusion of soul, rock, psychedelia, and gospel in the 60s and 70s. James Brown may have invented funk, this is from AllMusic, but Sly Stone perfected it and credited him with creating a series of euphonic yet politically charged records that proved a massive influence on artists of all musical and cultural backgrounds. Crawdaddy has credited him as the founder of the progressive soul movement. You may remember, and we did a show about this. We did the 50-year anniversary of Woodstock at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, 4 a.m. on Sunday, August 17th, 1969. Sly and the Family Stone took to the stage at the Woodstock Music. Well, it wasn't 4 o'clock. Maybe the concert was supposed to start at 9, and I think we were there at 11 o'clock, and he was just taking the stage. So maybe this was normal for him. They gave their legendary performance, cemented their place in the heavens for all times. He said over and over again that he wanted to take us higher. He did, and we are all better for it. Thank you, Sly, for your service, and your fellow musicians have earned you a well done and faithful servant. Rest in peace, our Woodstock brother. So that's a little bit about Sly and the Family Stone. Those were good memories. They're memories I still have. So there you go. That's a good thing. But that was the very first concert I went to, and I think I will always remember that. And the disappointment as we're all standing there packed like sardines, young, impressionable people waiting to see this man who was so big and so cool, and to see him come out, and then they literally hauled him off the stage. He couldn't even hardly walk, and be so despondent over the performance and whatever we had paid for the tickets. I know it wasn't a lot in today's term. Today, oh my God, they get so much for tickets. But it was so demoralizing to see this person that you had looked forward to. I want to take you higher, higher. And then, he's just barely out there singing it and doing his thing. But at least he could say, I was on the stage. There you go. All right. That's what I wanted to share with you. Also, just as a closing, tomorrow night is the strawberry moon. If hopefully we have some clear skies to be able to see it. This isn't just an ordinary full moon. It's going to be the lowest moon in the sky in 18.6 years, and it won't hang this low again till 2043. So if I want to see it, I guess I better get out there and see it. We'll try to find out when it actually will be showing up tomorrow evening. Hopefully it'll be at a recent nighttime hour, but that is pretty darn cool. The name comes from the Native American tribes marking strawberry harvest season, and that's why it's called a strawberry moon, other than it's a beautiful pink color. I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. Don't forget to tune in this afternoon. Don't forget to tune in this afternoon and see and hear Alan Wilson at the 5 o'clock show, State's Attorney Alan Wilson, and that's at 5 o'clock, 5:30. David Stumbo, our solicitor, will be with us. Don't miss that. That's from 5 to 6 today. And remember, you can always go back and watch any of the shows that we do with Facebook Live right there on our Facebook site, WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. And as I said, coming any day now, I'll be able to announce that our YouTube site is back active and you can go watch some of the old videos, and all current ones going forward will be there too. So please check that out. You know that I'm Ann Eller. You know I appreciate you very much. And let me know what you're thinking. 864-229-7984. This has been another blessed day right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. Let's take it away. I'll be back at 5. And as I said, if you got a question or a comment for either of our guests this afternoon, please do not hesitate. Please do not hesitate to send me that question or comment. You can leave it as a message, 864-229-7984, or of course, text me at that same number, Now, let's see if, yes, okay, we are going to work, so let's see if I can get us out of here. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Keep on sharing.
The phones are open.
Keep on laughing.
Give us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?